We are now going to talk about rollovers. So it says paragraph 65 to 67, plus also now section 9HB. Section 9HB has replaced paragraph 67 quite recently, so be aware of it if you've studied within the last couple of years. Now, rollovers are situations in which the capital gain will be rolled over or deferred until a future period. Now, we've got paragraph 65 and 66, which is when you have an involuntary disposal of assets or you replace assets. So, for example, I sell machine 1 and I replace it with machine 2. There might be a rollover. These will be discussed in future notes. Okay, not part of your syllabus right this second for this set of notes. Then we see a transfer of assets between spouses, section 9HB. Now this is what we're going to be looking at in these notes. In section 9HB, this section is not a section that the taxpayer chooses to apply or not. It always applies. I'm mentioning that because in paragraph 65 and 66 you have the option of choosing it. It's not the case here. So basically what section 9HB is, this is if Mr. X married to Mrs. X and an asset is transferred from Mr. X to Mrs. X, or the other way around. The assets that can be included here, capital assets and trading stock. So capital assets is obviously a section, a capital asset, so it's part of the H schedule, and trading stock is part of the Income Tax Act. That's why they've moved it here, so it can cover both. In both instances, understand that the Act is written so that there is no taxable amount that arises on disposal. Now, if it's a capital asset, a taxable amount will arise if your proceeds is greater than your base cost. So if it's your proceeds 100 and your base cost is 80, that will give us a taxable amount. For trading stock, it will be if your deduction is 80 and it's sold for 100. Right, then there's a 20 rands taxable amount. So that is what I refer to. The Act is written in such a way that this cannot happen when it's a transfer between spouses. Basically, what you'll see what happens is that the asset is completely transferred between spouses. So if Mr. X gives something to Mrs. X, all of the information that belonged to Mr. X, so the date when he acquired the asset, the cost that he acquired for, how he used it, was it a personal use asset for him, was it not? All of that information is just transferred to Mrs. X. And it's written in such a way that you'll see that it will basically mean that, and you can actually just write that it's transferred, but it's written in such a way that if the base cost is 80 rands, then it will say assume that the proceeds is also 80 rands, so it's null. And it'll say if it was trading stock and the deduction was 80 rands, assume that it was sold for 80 rands, so it's null. That's basically what this section does. Please just note that the person who is making the transfer, Mr. X, remember he is giving it away, he's called the transferor. Mrs. X is called the transferee, the person who's receiving it. This section also does not apply if the spouse who is receiving it, Mrs. X, is a non-resident. Why? Because assets will be leaving the CGT net. But what assets will still be excluded? Immovable property in South Africa and assets of a permanent establishment in South Africa. Because you'll remember, paragraph 2 says, for non-residents, the assets which are in the net are immovable property in South Africa and permanent establishment in South Africa. So they're saying if your spouse is a non-resident, so this section says if it goes to your spouse, we don't want CGT. Why? Because we know it's still going to be in the net. Because if your spouse, Mrs. X, now later sells it, she'll still be taxed. But if your spouse is a non-resident, then later on, if Mrs. X sells it, it won't be taxed because a normal asset, because of Mrs. X is now not subject, it's not in the net. But these assets will stay in the net. So they say it doesn't matter, we're happy with that because it will still stay in the net. So even if Mrs. X is a non-resident, she'll still be taxed on it if she sells it later. So at the time when Mr. X transfers it, this section will still apply. So this is just visually trying to show you if spouse 1 transfers to spouse 2, let's say information, spouse 1 purchased this asset for 50,000 in 2003. After the transfer, they'll assume that spouse 1 purchased it for 50,000 in 2003. And then just a separate section, paragraph 14 here, guys, quickly a discussion. If you're married in community of property, any asset that is sold by the joint estate, each spouse will be taxed on half of it. So if you own a holiday home together, for example, and the proceeds is $1 million, and the base cost is 100,000, means there's a capital gain of 900,000. Each of you will be taxed on your own 450,000 rands. If you're married in community of property and it is in the joint estate. If it is excluded from the joint estate, so this is just Mr. A's or property, for example, then he'll be taxed on the full 900,000. If you're married out of community of property, it means each of you are still considered your own person, so each will have his own assets, and you'll be taxed on the capital gains, and you'll be able to claim the capital losses of your own assets that you've disposed of.